Hey, what's up, guys? I just bought a nearly new, I'm just kidding, this really isn't that sort of channel. So yeah, what I was actually going to say is I've just bought a 12-string Telecaster, Gear for Music own brand, from Gear for Music, oddly enough. So the story here is that I was late night shopping, as one does, and I've been looking for a new guitar anyway, but I wasn't looking for anything like this. I was looking for an SG or a Les Paul or something. So I was on Gear for Music just having a look at what they had, and I saw this, and it's called I believe the Nashville 12-string. And they are about £120. I thought, good lord. Now, I used to own an electric 12-string, an Italia model, the Rimini. It was very nice, but I didn't get a lot of use out of it, and I sold it on. They seem to be quite sought after now, so I've always a little bit regretted selling that, because it did have a lovely sound and it looked beautiful. So I'd never really given much thought into buying a replacement for it. So how did I end up with this? Well, I shall tell you why. It was £75. This cost £75. This 12-string electric guitar costs £75. So I thought, it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. I'm online shopping. I've had a few beers. Obviously, I'm going to buy this. So I did. So it arrived from Gear for Music within a week, which is nice. And I pulled it out of the box this morning and I picked it up out of the box like this and went, ooh, ow, that hurts a bit. I thought, maybe the frets need a bit of work at the edges. And damn right they do, because it has absolutely shredded my fingers to pieces. Don't know if you can see that very well. So I thought, okay, there's the £75. Now, it was marked as nearly new. So whether or not nearly new means somebody in the factory didn't do the fret leveling on it and take these awful rough edges, which are still peeling skin from my already dry, cracked hands, or if it's nearly new because it had been played a couple of times. The scratch plate's still got the plastic on it. You can see it's got a peel me sticker there. Neck pickup still has plastic on it, so it would be very odd if nearly new meant that somebody hadn't done the frets, because that's usually part of a factory thing anyway. That would be more like unfinished. But there we go, that's what I have. So I haven't got an amplifier up here at the moment, but I tuned it up. And it seems to hold its tune quite nicely. I played for half an hour. I mean, tuning a 12-string can be a bit of a pain anyway. And I plugged it into my my big Fender amp downstairs, and it sounds beautifully jangly. It's, early REM, it's the Birds, it's everything you want from an electric 12-string. Everything my Italia guitar did, this one also does, although it is only single coil pickups. So I'm not a luthier, I'm not an expert, obviously. I'm more of an electronics guy. But I thought, do you know what, I can probably get this shipshape pretty soon. With a cheap set of diamond files. Now, obviously, these aren't the ones recommended by a lot of the luthiers. I know Stuart McDonald produces his own tool, which has different edges on the sides, and it comes in a kit as well with buffing pads and that sort of thing for finishing off. But for me, I just don't want to tear my hands to shreds every time I pick it up. And it's still happening now. I've got big, I don't know how well you can see it there, but my hands are very prone to being dry and cracked anyway, and this is just, if I were to sit and play Tambourine Man in full, I'd have no hand left. So what I've done here is I've just got these two files, these shapes. This is just a regular flat one. It's the same texture on all sides. I've no idea what kind of grit this is. I, as a rule, do everything on the cheap. These came from, I think, TK Maxx or TJ Maxx in the US. For about $2.99, but they are diamond files, so they should do okay. So what I was doing, I just tested on a high fret that didn't matter too much to see what sort of an effect I could get. And I was just basically, you know, as I said, I'm not an expert. I've watched one video on a guy doing this, and I tried to approximate what he was doing. So now I took it up here, and I just went up like that, very gently, trying not to damage the wood, although it doesn't seem to do too much damage because after you rub away, there's no marks or anything. And after a little bit of that, when you push your finger up now, that's pretty smooth. That isn't snagging. And I was testing it as well with my fingernail. I have one fingernail which is slightly longer than the others for doing, you know, stuff like this, picking your nose, whatever. And it doesn't catch like it does on the other ones. If I try and pull up there on that one, my fingernail's caught under the fret wire because it's overhanging. But if I do it here, it slips straight up. So look at that. Scrapes like anything, scrapes like hell. So what I'm going to do is just carry on doing that for a bit, all the way up this side of the neck and then all the way up this side of the neck until it doesn't shred my fingers to pieces. It's quite time consuming, because especially as I'm being very careful because I've still got the strings on it, and I'm trying not to mark the edge of the fretboard too much. And I have marked it a little bit, to be honest, but you know, again, this thing was £75. If I ever get sick of it and sell it like I do with a lot of my guitars, I'm only going to be asking £75 or less, and nobody's going to sniff at a few marks on the fretboard for that price. And they get smoother frets than they would have if they'd have bought it new. So win-win for this fictional buyer, I guess. But anyway, yeah, this has taken quite a while, and these files are, I think, maybe a little too rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to lunch, because I need to go and buy some antihistamines. I have a burrito for lunch, and I'm also going to go, while I'm buying the antihistamines in the chemist, I'm going to get one of those buffing bars where one side's quite rough, so it's like a nail file, but it's like a big spongy polystyrene thing, and it's got a buffer on it as well for making your nails shiny. So, you know, if I was charging for my time here, the way I'm thinking about it is, if I do £25 worth of work, then I might as well have just bought this bloody thing full price. So I'm trying to make this as quick and easy as possible. Again, I am not a luthier. Right, so I'm back from lunch, and I got one of these. This is a 4-way block. This costs £2, so this is, as I said, doing it on the absolute cheap. So this is meant for your nails, but it has 4 sides. It has 1, file nail edge, 2, remove ridges, 3, smooth nail, 4, shine nail. And I thought, wow, that's all the things that I want to do to these here frets. And while keratin and metal are very different materials, I'm hoping they respond the same way to a bit of sandpaper. Now this looks like a very fine grit, obviously because it's meant for your nails. And then the second one, remove ridges, is even finer. 3 is finer still, it's almost, you know, you can rub that on your face. And 4 is just like a buffer. Okay, right, so I got about that far, I think. 12th fret. 10th. Right, so starting at the 10th, I'm just going to very gently drag it along here, being careful not to go too far around the curve of the neck. Slightly better already, but I think I can get a bit more control if I were to... There we are, that's better. Oh my god, that's miles better already. Yeah. Don't do this on a Gibson or anything like this. If you've bought an old, you know, a cheap thing and you just want to tidy the frets up, I mean, you know, this isn't going to be my main guitar, it's a 12 string, but when I do play it, I'd rather it didn't cut me to ribbons. So, okay, that's coming out quite nicely. And I haven't made too much of a mess of the side. You can't see any marks on this camera, so you know that's good enough for me, to be honest. Right, I'm gonna do the same to each one of these frets, and then we'll see what the next ones do. So if you get it at just the right angle, which is about that much, as you go over it, you can feel the ridge where it hits the bit that's overhanging. Keep doing that until you don't feel that ridge catching the edge anymore. You're doing it right, basically. That's beautiful now. There we go. Yeah, excellent. No cuts, no scrapes. No fascist something state. I mean, if you had a bound neck or, you know, anything like that, don't do this because you're going to rub away the binding as well. Do it properly. There we go. I can feel that edge going. That's better. There it goes. I mean, it'll probably knacker this thing, but, you know, at £2 a throw, they're practically disposable, although, you know, recycle. I'm a firm believer in only using the right tool for the job if there's no alternative. And currently, this is doing the trick. God, that's so much better. That's doing the job very well. I haven't damaged the edge very much at all, which is good. It all looks nice. It's quite a nice, it's an unfinished neck on this, which I prefer, you know, it's not super glossy. Right, that's much better. Right, now I'm going to use the second tab, which is remove ridges. And as this one's gentler, I am just going to shoot this one up the side of the neck. So here we go. I can already feel that. Yep, but a very fine dust coming off here. And the sides seem to be absolutely fine. So I'll just keep going with that. That's very satisfying, actually. It's like when you run the Hoover over a big patch of dirt. That's so much smoother. It's not perfect, you know, it's not as good as my Fenders or anything like that. It's not as good as my Squiers, but they tend to have quite nicely finished necks anyway. But now when I slide, I can just feel slight bumps instead of lacerations. So that's good. Smooth nails. Number 3, the white side. Again, toothbrushing. Lovely. And I'm just sort of angling it a little bit more towards the fretboard as well now. Just to get the bevel finished reasonably well. There we are. And my hand's resting on the neck and moving up it, and I'm not feeling a thing, which is a really good sign. That's really nice now. I'm just going to take a stroke back on the first pad. Right, so that is infinitely better than it was. I can play that quite comfortably. You know, it's not like your hands are going to be whizzing up and down the neck on a 12 string doing solos and such. So I'm happy with the level of care and attention that I've given it. So now I'm just using the 4th side, shine nail, just to buff it. It is just a buffer, really. It's that slightly rubberized texture. Quick test. Bear in mind, I've only done the south side of the fretboard, not the top, so that still needs a lot of work. Oh, they take some getting used to playing again, I'll tell you that. That's so much better. That can slide quite comfortably. I'm going to run my palm up and down it. My palm currently is not scratched. My palm is very slightly marked around here, but it hasn't torn the skin. Whereas if I did that on here, am I going to do this? All right, fine. For science. This is the side I haven't done, and I can feel it. It's horrible. Yeah, look at that. Get that in the light a little bit. Those lines all across the hand. Scratch to buggery. So there we are. An £85 12-string Telecaster copy from Gear for Music. Intonation seems great. I'm quite happy with it. It's probably as good as I expected it to be. It seems solid, good weight to it. I don't know what the body is. I imagine it's basswood, basswood, whatever you want to call it. Nothing expensive. I plugged it in earlier briefly. Sounds fine. Sounds like a Telecaster with 12 strings because it's got the classic Telecaster pickup config. A headstock that isn't a total ugly disgrace, which is really important to me when buying guitars. Yeah, so if you want one of these, head on over to Gear for Music. I don't know if they've got any more B-stock ones. They also do a Strat version. Oh, Kat has entered the chat. Yeah, £120 new, £85 nearly new. So I'd be really interested if anyone's got one that they had from new to see if the fretwork was as bad as this. Any comments, any questions? Drop them below. Ring the bell and all the other stuff that people with proper YouTube channels say. And thank you very much for watching.